All right, greetings everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to Triumphant Living Workshop. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Faith Harris, and I'm so excited that you're here. I started the Triumphant Living Tour 2013 this year, only because I truly desire to share my story first of triumph. And my goal is to inspire the listeners, inspire you all that no matter what you go through in life, no matter the adversity, the hardship, that you have the potential to overcome it. You're equipped, you're built to last, is what I like to call it. That's another book coming out. And I believe that you can endure as long as you know God is on your side. We usually have, and this is being sponsored by my network called the Yes Network, where every third Saturday we come here, it's Dine and Learn experience where we have speakers that come in and I say, you know, this Saturday it's my turn. It's my turn to share my story in hopes that after becoming transparent, after becoming genuine about tragedy and its effects and the hardship, not assuming that I'm the only one in here, but you always need somebody to keep it real about the whole ordeal or situation. It's not pretty, and that's the message I do want to convey, that it's not pretty. But the triumph comes with endurance. So I took this third Saturday, and I'm taking two more in July and in November. Your brochure, you guys have a kit in front of you. This is your brief welcome. Everybody here, you've either been to my site, know me personally, know that I professionally speak as a profession, published author. One of my books that is my pride and joy is inside of your kit. It's called The Journey Less Traveled. Choose to turn your tragedy into triumph. Let's just go over, just go through the kit with you. And this book, I love to sign your personal copy, but this is it. This is the meat and potatoes. This is my personal experience written in literature form. And I tell you, this book has had the opportunity to travel across the seas. It's had the opportunity to go throughout the states. The message is the same. I have been, and these are the emails and calls that I get, I have been empowered by your story. I had a bad back. I usually get people who have this bad back issue. I had a bad back, but after reading about your story, I could care less about how my back aches, And that's the important thing, and I talk about it in my book. When you think you have it bad, somebody has it worse. And I think that death is the worst of all exits out of this world. That's your only way out is death. But when you've had, I say, the opportunity to die 3 times and come back, then you have a true story of overcoming the greatest obstacle to your life, which is death. So this is the book. This is here. And I wanted to encourage you. And it is a household book. It's one of those books that you read and you pass it along, but you make sure you get it back. So if you're here and you'd like to purchase any, they're $16.95. But because it's umbrella, these Triumphant Living Workshops under my foundation, Journey Less Travel Foundation, I just asked for a $10 donation, but again, yours is included in your kit. So, a little bit about the foundation, and we'll talk more about the kit. My foundation is from my experience. From my personal testimony, I'm going to show you a short video really quickly, but from my personal testimony and experience, I can only convey and teach what I've been through. So some points that you're going to get are 4 points today. Learn how to turn your tragedy into triumph. Learn how to accomplish successful transition after life-altering events. What happened to that person in that car accident that survived, although the passenger did not? What do you, that individual, do? How do you transition back after all that trauma, that tragedy? What do you do after surgery? What do you do after a loss? So I'm here to give you some key tools that I believe will help you get back in the swing of things. How do you recuperate mind, body, and soul? I had spirit in here too, but spirit I just believe is innate. We all have the spirit living within us. So mind, body, soul, and spirit. So I want to talk about those things too, because those 3 things have to realign for you to function. If your body is harmed and deteriorating and it's okay, that's your body. But what happens to your spirit? What's going on in your mind and your soul? What happened to your will and your desire to live? If those 3 things aren't aligned back together, it's hard to make your 100% come back. So I'm going to talk about that. And then also, how do you not only get back on track, but how do you complete successful, important projects successfully? Because tragedy and trauma, it impacts your mind. but it also impacts your will, it impacts your motivation to do things. You got to get all of that stuff back to back on the job, even getting back in the social life. You have to transition back, because sometimes, and I know everybody here has dealt with something along the lines of tragedy, right? Getting and talking to somebody can be hard. Why? Because you want to be by yourself. Close my door, I've been through enough, you don't understand me, leave me be. But that's not a functioning and a healthy lifestyle. You have to learn how to transition back. And then when you feel overwhelmed, get back, regroup, and go back at it again. So I want to talk about those things. And while we're talking, I want you to think of some people who may be going through adversity that you can read this and you can bless them with. You know, it may not be you, or it may not be okay, it may not be that serious for you, but somebody you'll come across that you'll have at least those tools that know how to deal with that person. So that's the teaching tool too that I emphasize in my book. There's 3 things overall, tasks that we're going to do. We're going to do a lot of reflection today. The theme is choose to turn your tragedy into triumph. So I don't want to say we're just going to deal with the surface, but we're going to scratch and wake up some things, the thought, you know. So it's going to be a little reflection. I'm not going to actually go too deep, because I believe reflection and true healing takes privacy. You don't go through true healing, and I would say deliverance from some situations out in the public. That's just not how it's done. This is good. Intimate setting, we could talk, be more comfortable. This is a great, great opportunity for us to kind of release and share amongst ourselves. But then at the same time, when you truly, truly want to deal with that deep-rooted hurt, it may take you going home, closing the door, washing your face, and just let it rip. Okay, but we're just going to reflect and think on a little bit of some things. Introspection is just kind of like looking at yourself, seeing where that tear is. We're going to talk about that tear in your soul, okay? And then projection. Once you identify where that tear is, where that depression leaked in, where that fear leaked in, it's time to uproot it and now project out into the universe. People say atmosphere to God. Okay, I know a lot of people did release to the universe, and the universe will give on to you. No, sweetheart. I'm not a universal spirit that just believes in just God Almighty, and then everything else flows according to His will. That's how I talk. If you ever came, Christy or Deborah, to a business session, Miss Carol has been here before, my brother is here. I don't care if I'm in a room filled of executive CEOs, and I've been there before. God will freely flow from my mouth and my experience. I'm a businesswoman who's spiritual first. So I tell all people that you have to be careful of what you say, what you speak, because if it's not aligned with the will of God for your life, you'll just be contradicting yourself. And you'll be in this wilderness going around and around and around, never getting that healing, never getting that deliverance, never getting that help and the wholeness that God has built for you. So to be successful, to get back on track, and to do everything that you've been called and destined to do, all these mind, body, soul, spirit must be aligned back together to what? To God. Okay, so through your pit, I'm on the right side. You have your book, you have your brochure. If after today you know a group of people who could benefit from this session, they could bring you to where they are, or you could bring them to where you are. So if the dates that's listed here, I have the dates in the center flap at the back, doesn't work, and you know that's kind of difficult, then choose a date. Fill out this form right here on the right side, and then fax it back to the number here listed. Let me know a little bit about the date, the event, the contact person, what is it exactly that you're expecting, and fax it. You will get a call within 24 to 48 hours to set something up. Or this becomes an automatic mailer. Put a little tape here, put a little stamp, and just mail it. Okay, so if this is something that you find, hey, bring this lady in, she got a message and a word for you, this is everything you'll get, then I encourage you to use this and bring it there. You have your Facing Fears, Affirmation and Smart Goal Setting handout. Everything that's on the right is the tools we're going to use in class, to write on. Then you have Faith-Filled Confessions. These are 66 positive affirmation scriptures that I've located just for you. After you've gone through tragedy, where is and how is your healing and deliverance is number 1. Justice and righteousness, because some things are done to us that's just not right. Okay, so I had to research these scriptures and declare a lot of things for myself. So I'll let you look through them at your leisure, but how do you repair love and relationships? How do you seek and get the peace that's available to you? What about your victory and triumph? And what about your wealth and prosperity? So I have 66 scriptures that you can convert into. Come on up and join us. Yes, darling. This is another good business partner of mine. It's okay. Come on in. Never too late. So glad to see you. I have my clinical specialist in the house.
Oh!
Yes, you are. Hello, lady. She is in the house. I'm so glad you made it. Thank you for coming. Okay, so you have your confessions and declarations. I'm just going through kind of orientation.
Okay, cool.
And then you have your SMART goal handout. We're going to do a SMART goal. And then a note to yourself. So if you want to write some notes here, it's on the last page on the right-hand side. So that's our writing tool that we're going to be using. And then on the left-hand side, some reading and some literature. We are going to do your life wheel first. So if you want to go ahead and take that out. This is going to be our first kind of icebreaker here. I'll explain that when we get to it. But that's our first thing. Then I have some articles. You know, you go to some workshops and you hear from speakers and they give you some research-based articles that you could just, you know, what the expert says. Well, guess what? Dr. Harris is the expert.
All right.
And I took a course of 5 years to write these 7 steps. Actually, it's in my book, so I released my book in 2008, so it took 2 years, 22 months to write these steps. These are steps that I have used, tried and true, and I've then exhausted all resources and created professional articles. So I printed these articles that I have on my blog. If you ever want some inspiration, literature, read. I do a lot of writing. I take it seriously. It's my life. I turn off all television. I go to my room. I see God and I write. So if you want anything inspirational, there's my blog listed here, lorettaharris.wordpress.com. Okay, but I printed this for you. I'm going to actually use this as well. And then you have an article on creating SMART goal. We're going to do one SMART goal. I kind of share that we just kind of scratching the surface a little bit. So we're going to at least try our hand at one in each of these areas. And then, you know, you can take it home and then, you know you can share. And then that's it. So that's your kit. We're going to talk about it. And then you have an index card. If at the end you have some kind words to say that help me encourage people to be a part of this, you can say it on this index card. And I'll collect it. And I'll post it. Everything I post, if you ever go to my website, lorettafaithharris.com, I post testimonials of what people say. And if you want your first, last name, your business on my site, just include it, and I'll include it. You know, it's up to you. So whatever you put on here, I will also post. I include this in my press kits that I send out. So I really do depend on and invite your help to make me look good. So just let you know that goes there. So that's your kit in a nutshell. And we're going to be going through this very, very shortly. So you're going to use the life wheel in a second. Okay, so here are the benefits. We just took an inventory. I just shared the brochure on how you can book me, get me to where you are, and how I can speak to your crowd. I have to share this with you because I just thought about it. I had a lot of people sign up for the workshop today. As yesterday came, a lot of people just, things come up and things, and I said, that's fine, but they still wanted the kit. And I said, oh no, the kit's not for sale. I said, my story is going to be provided within these 4 walls of whoever calls me to aid. I will avail my story, I will become transparent, and I will load you with the information. But you get me, you get my story, and you get the kit. So it's not about this money-making thing, because the book itself is $16.95. And this kit is $24.95. So you can do the math there. You can see I'm not getting anything out of my pocket here. And plus it goes back to the foundation. So it's not about trying to make money, but it's time. It's time to share the message and help somebody. Okay, so I just had to share that with you because it tickled me this morning. I kept getting these emails. I was like, and for a second I thought to myself, I said, I could really make some money here. Just sell the kits. Everybody wants the kit because they know if I do it, you're going to get information overload. But you got to be here. You got to be here to get it. All right. So here's my story. the next slide. Because the next slide I'm going to be talking about tragic occurrences and just things that classify as a tragedy. So just to make sure that we're just all clear on just tragedy, what it is, what it looks like, because that's what I'm talking about, how to deal with it. And if you know, like I know, there's not a lot of teaching tools out there, right, to help people combat and transition back from tragedy. Actually, today is a testament that is one of the least likely subjects that people want to engage with. And I understood that. Even before I started my tour, I understood that, and I thought and I contemplated and I said, you know what, it's going to be a small donation. You know what, a lot of people don't even want to face tragedy. They don't want to deal with it. A lot of us are forced to when it's on TV. And even then we switch the station. Because we just, it does something to us. It bothers us, this tragedy talk. But guess what? We have to face it. We have to know it's real. And God forbid it happens in our own backyard. What and how do you deal with it? So I'm here, right on time, 2013. It's my time. Bona fide, tried and true, that's my story. 2006, May 24th, exactly 6 years, 10 months, and 8 days ago. I did a calculation. I'm not like that every year, but I just thought I want to impress you. So what I did is I just calculated backwards. I said, oh, that's cute. But really, I'm a little comical too, so don't mind. What happened is I was returning back from work, teacher post planning the day after the last day of school, and this guy. At the time, it was classified as a high-speed police chase. So they chased this guy through several cities. I didn't know that after I got up from doing my prayer and devotion and just spending time with the Lord and worship music and locking my door, that was going to be the last time that I would see that place. So at that time, I had gone off, met this guy head on. I don't have any memory about the accident. I just don't. I did some research on it, and they just kind of say the brain kind of just could erase permanently some tragic and traumatic events. That's how you know it was tragedy. If that brain erases it, that's how you know. Because some things we just can't forget. But I thank God for that being forgotten. Right. I don't miss it, not one bit. But for what I'm told, my car was taken totally to the right side because of the impact of the Cadillac. And then my car was destroyed completely. It was crushed. And how you know it was crushed is that this is the side that endured all of the damage. Right arm was broken. This arm was taken through the mirror. I had a severe brain injury because this head hit the side of my car. The window, and it gets gruesome, so I hope you're okay. The window took my face and lacerated, opened it from top to bottom, and then of course the side here. The steering wheel went inward, just destroyed the inside of my stomach because it lacerated my liver, ruptured my bladder, and also punctured my stomach. It broke my hip, so they had to reconstruct, place a metal here, and then the car went inward, so it crushed my leg and my ankle. So they had to replace. I have a rod from here to here. I was really going to get medical on you and wear some clothes so you could see it. I said, come on now, and not time for that. And then my knee burst open, and then heavy lacerations. Now, as a result of this accident, not only was I lying at the scene, it happened Thursday at 3 p.m., not only was I lying there dead, but the paramedics was just a few minutes away. So the paramedics came onto the scene just like it happened 3 o'clock, they was there by 3:03. Because first of all, the guy who did it, he ran. Okay, some people were around him and he almost hit them. Several pedestrians he almost ran into. And then one person beside me who was a student, his arm was broken, but he was able to escape out of the car and get some help. And then somebody else behind, another student, so unfortunately he was a casualty in the incident. So here I am there, paramedics come. They take me out with the jaws of life. And I actually saw the live video footage 1 year after my accident when we went back to pay tribute for the young child who passed away or whatnot. So there on the scene, that's when I passed over into heaven. Here I am in the presence of God. I didn't see his face, and I talk about it in my book. This spirit, and God is a spirit, this God had he was the entire entire universe. There was no measurement. It was no space. It was just immeasurable. But he was God, and he was standing there, and he had his arms just like this. He was of no particular color. Like the little Crayolas, the little colors we have, it's a dull reflection of heaven. Dull reflection. Heaven was so luminous, so bright. It was just so glorious. I was in peace. I had no pain, no worry, no all these emotions here. It was nothing like that. It was just as if I was floating on air, which I was. I was elevated in front of him. Again, no elements, nothing tangible, but I was elevated in front of him, and I was covered in white. All right, it was just, I was just covered up. And then so I was showing him, I did this, and I was just pointing out different things, and I got up and I, pointed out everything. And it was just so much peace. He was as if he was listening. And after I, laid back down, he did this and released me. And I truly believe from what the paramedics stated to my sisters and family, that's when I came back there. Because they then resuscitated me and did, the electronics on me and got me back. Now, when they trauma hopped me to ORMC, I passed over in the airplane, in the helicopter there too. And then when they placed me on the operating table, I passed over too. So each 3 times they had to do aggressive resuscitation. As a result of the accident, I had over 12 surgeries, over 12. And these are all, based on medical reports. I had, at that time, when they checked me in, I was on life support. You may see the tray still here, life support for over 3 weeks, going on a month. I was in a coma, well, for over 3 weeks. I got out of the coma before I got off of life support, so 3+ weeks. From there, when I did wake up out of my coma, and this is how I know mind, body, and spirit, they all work together. Because my body was so mangled and damaged, they didn't want to touch my eyes because they were black, and if you see the cover, my eyes were really black, and they didn't know if I had my eyes to see. And they definitely didn't know if I could sleep because my lips were shut tight. My mother described it as looking like I was a dead corpse. It was just that bad. Glass and everything still in my face. And the first incision is that they had to cut me open from top to bottom. My organs were swollen 3 times the size. So I had to de-swell. Okay? So that's kind of the graphics of where I was, how I was in my condition. So that was kind of the first incision that they took. But because I know body, mind, and soul and spirit goes together, when I got out of my coma and I opened my eyes, I looked around. I couldn't move. I was just encased everywhere. Everything was encased. And I had electronics all around, tubes in my head and everything. So I opened my eyes for the first time, and I'm looking around. Couldn't move, couldn't talk. My mind first said, why am I here? That's how much I just didn't remember. What's going on? So after a while, probably within the first week or so, still not able to talk, move, do any movement. So I would say week 4. My sisters began to come in, and my mom, and I recognized them. So I'm like mouthing to them, what's going on, what's wrong? So here I am, IV, everything feeding tube. I begin to pull it out of my body. Because I'm thinking to myself, why can't I just get up and walk? What's wrong? Why am I laying down here? So my spirit was untouched. The tragedy did not impact my spirit, not one bit. Here it is in my soul now. I didn't deserve this. What's going on? Still not sure because I had mild brain injury. So my short-term memory was shot. I had no memory. It just kept going in and out. So my body here is mangled, distraught. My soul is in disarray. Emotions all over the place. Once I started coming to, anger filled my heart, depression, bitterness. I mean, I was just on a whole nother level of why me, Lord? It went beyond why me, Lord. So before I go any further, I just want to talk about it. Tragic events. My tragic events, there's 4 categories that is tragedy. A tragic event is an incident in which an unexpected event takes place, causing fear, stress, and sometimes physical harm. Mine was all of that, okay? But mine classified as an accidental disaster, car wreck, fire. You have natural disasters, floods, earthquakes, those things that happen over in China somewhere, but more and more frequently here that we're just like, how in the world do those people survive that? And I remember I said that. I remember when Brandy, the singer, hit that person and someone died. I remember watching that. And the only thing I could think about is what did she do after that? The guilt that she must have felt. And then a month before my personal accident, I tell you guys, you know how they say you know when you will die, people know when they're going to die? They do. I knew I was going to, I wouldn't say die, but I felt death on my back. For a month, I felt this deep, dark cloud, like something was bidding on my life. I felt it. I don't know how to describe it, but I felt a sense of death, like my card was going to be pulled. And I journaled this. This is in my journal. I should have brought my journal. I wasn't thinking about that. But this is in my journal where I wrote down, I feel impending danger. And I would pray. I remember going down the highway. I pulled over and I was just all in tears. God, what's going to happen to me? Why don't you just tell me? I felt it. So I was led to the book of Job. And I read that whole book and I dissected that book. And I looked at Job's demeanor. And I looked at what he did when he lost these people and his mental state. And then I looked how God rewarded and brought everything back into his life. Put the book aside, you know, and just it stuck with me. How did Job deal with it? But you know what stuck with me even more? How did Job, because it's not recorded in the Bible, then enjoy all of this being returned? Because I know he wasn't the same. And I don't know why that stuck with me, but it did. So they called me modern day Job. Because I lost my car, I lost my job, I lost my home, even my hair turned on. I had to shave it off and go natural. This picture that you see in the beginning, this wasn't by choice. I had to literally shave my hair because of the bed sores and everything else that I had developed. But, and then I tell people I lost my mind. Because that was something that I felt just was leaving. Especially when they told me the news that the young child had passed. That was just it. You could have just put me in a straitjacket and just take me away, because I bawled, I wailed, I cried. So it came from the depth of me. I've never experienced this before. And it came out. You know, I sound like I was an animal in a room. That's how much it was a deep wail and moan that came from me. There's one that's not listed on here, but I believe it should be. And this is personal disaster and tragedy. What happens when you go to your job and you get a pink slip? Isn't that unannounced? You didn't prepare for that? You and your spouse getting along really well, all of a sudden, he or she decides to leave. You had no indication that that was going to happen. That's tragic. Next thing you know, you're trying to swipe a card, decline. Swipe a card, decline. You find out that somebody stole your identity. Identity theft. That's tragic. So some things I believe personal tragedy isn't listed here, but that's a classification I give it, right? It's there. We all experience that. Now, the side effects of tragedy. Believe it or not, this is all I could hold on this slide, but there's more. And guess what? This is what I dealt with. Okay? I suffered greatly from post-traumatic stress disorder. Nobody had to teach me this. I did some research, check. And I knew I was suffering from something when I started thinking about suicide and death. When they told me, the first time suicide came to my mind, or rather death, is when they told me that the child had died 6 or 8 weeks after his funeral. Because now I had gone to rehab. So I was in ICU for about 4 weeks, stepped down for the next 3.5 to 4 weeks, and now after 8 months, I'm in rehab now. Doing much better. I had to learn how to walk, talk, eat, bathe, feed myself, everything all over again. I had to relearn life, period. Had to teach me some lessons, how to regain my short-term memory, how to connect it. I mean, I had to do everything all over again. It was just like hell for me. And in my book, I talk about the river of pain, because I was just like, God, why so much pain? Why? I understand it now, I tell you at the end, but why so much pain? So here I am in rehab, and they tell me the child had died. I said, God, go ahead and kill me too. I don't understand how you can be such a sovereign God and you take a child and out of the womb. Go ahead and take me now. I have no reason to live. I don't even want to be here. I heard nothing back from God. I was just venting. The soul that needed to be realigned, but not yet though. You go through some tragic stuff, you have to understand yourself and realize it is the tragedy and the experience that has inflicted your soul that's causing depression, that's causing anger. And you have to go to the root of that problem and deal with it. You can't deal with just the symptoms. You have to deal with what's the problem and what's causing that hurt. The problem was I've been through hell and back. I've been from death to life. I had a reason to be bitter. I had a bitterness, and even up there, it should be my number one. It should be over post-traumatic stress disorder. Because I really wanted that dude just dead. That's how angry I was, because he lived. He just received 31 years, and I mean, he's alive and well, has children doing great. So that's something that stuck with me. And I became bitter, and I became angry. But post-traumatic stress disorder is basically a condition that develops after a tragic experience. It intervenes with your physical health, your happiness, sometimes your sleep. How I knew I was going through this, and I'm not claiming this, I know I had this, is because the same things I used to love to do, go out, my family knows, I'm an outgoing person, lots of friends, always involved in something positive. I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't even care for people. I had drawn into and become this introvert. And I'm just like, this is not me. I heard myself. When I would talk to my sister on the phone, I would tell her, I don't want to do that. And she was like, what do you do? You know, I just heard, I was just like, that don't sound like me. You know, it was pouring out from my soul. It was still, you know, the injury. Depression, depressed beyond measure. Anger. Let my mother tell her, she's an angel from heaven. I was lashing out on her for helping me. Anger. You don't know where it's coming from, but you just lash out on people. That's why it's important here that you have somebody in your life, your friends, your family, we all know. People with those popping necks and attitude, they got to get everybody straight. Well, if somebody can sit them down and just talk to them a little bit, you'll find a hurting soul somewhere, right? So here I am, a hurting soul. And my mom and my sisters and the nurses knew that me lashing out at them was just because of the hurt. That I did not know, I was so overwhelmed and engulfed in. I didn't know how to deal with it. So that was the result. Grief, guilt, I blamed myself for the child's death. I did years. It wasn't until a few years ago that I forgave myself for the incident. And then insomnia, I couldn't sleep. They had given me some pills, I forget what it's called, it starts with an A. And it helped temporarily, but again, that was just scratching the surface. We didn't get to the root of the problem. A lot of people, and research actually shows that 74% of adults go to and get diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And then 50% are misdiagnosed and they're given medication. So I can't sleep, insomnia. Okay, so here's some med to take care of that. But what's the reason why you can't sleep? Fear, you know. You've been hurt, or you know, so you got to stop treating the symptoms and go deep down. So all of this were symptoms of what I was going through. Here's the last one. You might think it's funny, but I suffered from pride. I was embarrassed when they had to change me. I mean, I ain't use all my mind now. I'm a grown woman pooping on myself. So this is a little embarrassing that you have to change me. And the sad thing about it is I had to wait until they got there. So like for some hours, I'm just like, this is not me. Oh my God. You know, think to myself. Religious abandonment. Don't come over me talking about no prayer. Definitely don't come over me talking about God gonna bless your child. Everything that the enemy meant for you, I didn't want to hear it get from over me. You know, I didn't. Prayer, I remember when I used to get up at 4 a.m. every day while I was in step down, not even in rehab yet, in step down. And I didn't understand, why am I getting up at 4 o'clock every morning? My pastor at that time said, well, Loretta, why don't you seek God? And I wanted to tell him, well, you know, I was just so upset. Seek God. Seek God about what? I don't, you know. And I just humbly shook my hand. You know, what else can I do? I'm already damaged good. So I just humbly shook my head and he left out the room. And I was basically like, no, you know, I'm not seeking nobody. You know, I'm upset. So religious abandonment. And I put here that's a good thing. Why do I say that? A lot of people think that it's going to be the rituals that keep you from tragedy. I'm going to fast and pray. And I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be happy. And see, I'm happy because I can talk to you all like that. See, it had some corporates around here. I had to be cute and proper. But I can talk to you all like that. Those acts don't count. Because that morning, I remember it clearly. Prayer at my altar. Yes, I have an altar. I've had it for years. Prayer at my altar. Worship. God, you're mighty. You're awesome. Hey, I mean, just the whole nine. I was powerful. I was on the move. I used to teach and preach. Come on now, my brother knows a church cannot invite me unless you wanted some folk laid out. That's years ago, right? That's just the anointing that God has on my life. not any good for me, but I know the power that I walk in because of God. So here I am doing all of this stuff in the name of God and stuff, and then this hits. Oh, okay, God, push that to the side. Hey, it wasn't about that then. It wasn't that kept me from going through this, because if prayer and stuff and whatnot could keep me, then I wouldn't go through this. So now why did I go through this? Why did God allow tragedy? Why did Job have to suffer and lose it all? You know the revelation he gave me when I was doing this workshop? Not even before this workshop. This just came when I was putting everybody's kit together. You want to hear it? You're going to love this. You know how Christ had to come and to become one of us in order to save the world? God said, unless you become like that, the calling, the purpose, and the destiny, and she says, wow, okay, it's going to get better. The purpose, the calling, and the destiny I have for your life, you have to become it first. So a lot of people wondering, why am I going through so much pain and misery? God needed you to talk to some cancer patients. You had to experience that first. Who's going to listen to somebody who hasn't been there, where they've been? That's not a bona fide testimony. You're not tried and true yet. Okay? So you have to, right? You have to live it out in order to tell somebody, because you living it out, you going through the pressure, you experiencing God in that situation, and God ministering to you and healing your body. That's the same power and anointing that's going to be on your life for the next people. And when people see you, they know nobody but God delivered them from that situation. So in order to, why do we go through what we go through in life? We must become what God has called and ordained you to become. So life's experiences, nothing is in vain. If you believe all things work together for your good, all things. Good, bad, ugly, evil. God said, I created evil, even evil for my work. So good, bad, and evil brings you to that development in your character, in your resemblance of Christ, and then you get to a platform where you have your personalized experience. So he was giving me a platform. I looked at it, my heart always was compassionate with people who went through something since I was a baby. I felt hurt, I felt pain. I didn't know I would become it. I didn't know that I would have to embrace it at such levels that I had to. But it was all in God's plan. Because he said now, 2013, I'm going to put you on a platform, and you're going to deal with and share with the world a topic that people turn their head away from. They don't want to hear about. They don't really care about, because they don't want to feel bad in their little... God said, I'm giving you a platform now. You're ready now. You're going to talk to me about 4 years ago, I wasn't ready. I was just warming up. When I released this book in 2008, 22 months after the accident, May 24th, 22 months later, I wasn't ready. Because I would be talking to groups like this, and I would cry, and I would bawl. There's no power. You were still healing and releasing, and it's good. Tears are a good sign. But now, I'm ready. So now I could tell people, now I could be an example, now I could be that light. That's why you go through what you have. Because God is using you as that mouthpiece to bring life that he's going to speak through concerning that situation. Because people don't make it and survive what you've made it and survive. People can't be sane going through what you've gone through. People lose their mind. But because God handpicked and chose you, and he knew that you would embrace the grace that he made available unto you, you just hold on a little bit, you earned your stripes and your grant. Let me get you ready to put you before people. That's the answer that he gave to me as why we go through the tragedy that we go through. Okay, so if you take your life wheel, everything now is going to be about 2 minutes. It's not even going to be very, very long. But here's a life wheel, and while you're eating, just think about it. Enjoy your food. I don't want you to stop. Think about, after you look at these categories, maybe some areas you want to deal with. We're only going to deal with just one. So choose just one today, okay? The life wheel will take a while for you to fill in, because this is how it works. Orange is about 25% of fulfillment. This blue is about 50% of fulfillment, and then this red is about 100% fulfillment in this area. So if it's going to take a while for you to think of all these areas and fill it in, and regarding fulfillment, don't worry about it. Choose one area today and fill it in. And let it result in the least fulfilled area in your life. So just choose one. Take about 1 minute. One area, just fill that in. And when you have time, I use this. This is about my 5th wheel. And it's a true reflection of where I am in life. And I know now that I need a vacation. Because my enjoyment was the lowest. I worked so hard. So this told me and revealed where I am. So take a few minutes if you like. If you want to fill the full wheel in, no problem. But I just wanted us to make sure that we stay within your timing. It truly is a good reflection of your happiness in life.
We would have to rate those areas.
Yeah, you have to rate it.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to look at the categories and rate your fulfillment in that area. And if the full half is filled in, then you're very, very satisfied. But because of the time, I'm just asking that you look at the one that you already know you need work in, and then you can do the rest under. Assess your level of happiness. This may be a bit, but I was actually transparent. That's the thing. Whatever group I'm with, and again, I'm appreciative for you ladies showing up and just being the dynamic group that you are. I'm very, very comfortable. So I hope you're comfortable too. But I'm being honest. You can see it for yourself. Fun and leisure is the lowest on my graph. That's a problem. I work so hard. My family knows. I work so very hard. Doing the things that I do, there has to be balance. There has to be balance. And I'm saying this and I'm doing this here, so I know I'm serious. I need a vacation. So this is an indication to me that confirming, yes, please take your vacation very, very soon. And I think I'm going to do that after the next month. But what anyone here would like to share, I know why my fun and leisure is kind of being sacrificed right now. And I'm going to up that up. That's not good. Anyone like to share their area and why possibly you feel that may be the least satisfied area in your life now?
I think for me as well, the least one is fun and leisure.
Okay.
Well, I have slowly recovered from an injury.
Okay.
So for a year, I was in physical therapy.
Okay.
And doing acupuncture the whole night. So I guess there's a financial aspect to it as well.
Okay.
And in addition to that, I have other, like I have the clinic and work, and now I'm going for my family nurse practitioner. So all that to balance everything out, but I have made a decision this year. Going on vacation.
So you've already made that decision?
So I've made
Okay.
it. But that was one of the areas I kind of really struggled with.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the, even the other one with the career, I've made the decision to this year as well. So everything that, I think from starting January, I kind of stayed and kind of reevaluate.
Okay.
Because I felt that I was running
Yes.
last year. So this year I decided I need to live a balanced life. my spiritual. So I've made some stepping spiritual. I decided to join the choir. So so I'm kind of like every little area that I felt that there's a problem. This year I started to work.
Awesome.
So eventually, by the end of the year, the numbers will go up.
Okay, great. So possibly when you're home and you have your time to fill in the wheel, you'll see a visual of what you've already been committed to do.
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Anyone else wanted to kind of share? You don't have to.
I would like to say,
Yes.
for me, it will be balanced for most of the reasons that you just mentioned. Because there's some areas in my finances that I feel are off, as well as my career, spiritual relationship, or my ability to be involved with ministry.
Okay.
So there's some areas that the balance is like like
Okay.
and it's a balance at all.
Okay, good. And you already know those areas to target. All right, Ms. Mary. Let's balance. Anyone else want to?
And mine is pretty much the same thing. Life balance.
Okay.
But really the focus on career.
Okay.
That's easier than I'm the area that I really like, but it's time for a change.
Okay.
And I'm working towards it if it's not coming fast enough.
Okay.
That is my focus.
Okay. All right. So balance, I heard, and then you said career. I know you have a lot on your plate. She's a full-time educator and also part-time business owner. So we all know that that was my hustle for 6 years until I, went full-time. So I know that's something very would you like to share?
Sure. Mine would definitely be my career. I've spent the last 7-8 years in something that I was told to do as to go out and get a good job.
Okay.
And so I work in accounting and finance, which I enjoy. I enjoy finance. But I know it's not my passion.
Okay.
And the person that I am, it's not my passion. I don't completely engage. And if I'm not completely engaged, then what's the point?
Yes.
And so at this moment, I'm at a crossroad doing what I know will keep my finances secure and moving into
Stepping
a
out.
passion.
Okay.
So, but I believe I spoke with a friend of mine last night, and she just mentioned something to where I can merge the two.
Okay.
So I will be definitely looking into that, but it is definitely it's really to have to wake up every morning and just not feeling like I feel like a chore. Spend 8 hours at a place where I feel like I have to be here. It's not fulfilling.
I understand where you are. And that's what I've done, and it works well for me. I've married my passion and my training because I've done workshop facilitations for Osceola, for Orange. I'm trained in this, then my doctorate in the curriculum development. Every time I do something, I'm developing my own curriculum. I've been trained in it. I love this stuff. I know how to do this and to align it to make sure it's teachable and there's learning that's going to take place. It's not a time waste. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of share, as we're talking about choose to turn tragedy and triumph, choose to just turn some things around in your life so that you can be triumphant in all areas, be balanced, be happy, great career, happy field choice, going out on some vacations and making it happen. So even if that awakened your memory to, hey, remember to treat yourself. Now, in that same left side of your packet, you have the 7 steps to developing a conqueror's mentality. And what I have for us to do today, and again, there is time, and it's good because it's just some reading and literature, but these are the 7 steps that, through my experience, through prayer, I truly believe, and it has been proven and it works. It will help you in any situation you are in to work on your mind. That's all. That's the first step. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. So if that's what you're believing and pumping into your mind, I can't do this, you won't do this. I remember when I was in my wheelchair, I had transitioned. First, I was immobilized, so I had to be transported from bed to bed from wherever I was going. And then I had to create in my room an obstacle course that I would wheel my wheelchair beside my bed, get up in the morning, roll myself over, then, undo the brakes, drive around to my sink. It's so funny. Wheel around to my sink, brush my teeth, stand up. I had a walker position that helped me stand up, brush my teeth, wash my face. It was just an obstacle course in my room. But I had to do that because I said I wanted to get back, not 100%, but 110%. I wanted to be better. So I definitely had to do that. There were some days that I've already shared that I just wanted to give up. When I heard the news of the child who passed, my therapist, they didn't even bother it. Because believe me, she's grieving. You know, right now that's just how bad it was. But I remember when I was in that wheelchair, my sisters would unfold it. Now I'm out of rehab. I'm in outpatient therapy now for 6 months, right? And so now we're going around, going to Best Buy, looking at my first TV there that I bought. And I remember getting out in so much pain because this ankle was still tender. I mean, I would bawl. Tears would just, it would be automatic now. I would touch on it, tears would come. Well, because that's just how much pain I was still in. And I would say, my sisters would look at me with such pity in their face, and I would just whisper, it's not going to be like this always. And they'll say, yes, you're right, and then we'll keep on going. I had to encourage them, because this is their sister in so much pain. Who wants to see their sister in so much pain? So I had to encourage them. Hey girls, let's get it together. It's not going to be like this always. Come on, let's keep it rolling. I had to be their encouraging person. So these are 7 steps that I had to take, and I truly believe that I'm proud of you. Step number 1 in any tragedy, any adversity, any problem is that you must face it. It's no way of getting around that obstacle unless you face it head on. So I had to, and I talk about it when I looked into the mirror for the first time, Tragedy Has No Face, chapter 4 of my book. And I saw that black mirror and I saw myself for the first time in like 2 months. And they didn't want to bring me the mirror. And I knew you didn't want to bring me the mirror. I know I must be jacked up. Because I know I see these people, how they're looking at me when they come like, and they're looking at me. You're trying to hide it, but I'm smart. Come on now. My mind is there. Bring me the mirror. Bring me the mirror. I look at myself and I break down. My mom is right there with me. It's okay. It's it's not okay. I look like a monster. I take the mirror and I look at my arm. And because I used to feel so much pain here, and when I look at my ankle crushing, and saw how they had to, all the work, how they patch it up, I bawled. And I said, oh my God, my mom said, it'll heal, it'll get better, but that's not what you want to hear at that time. I was a little cutie, and now I'm just this ugly little But you know, the lesson it taught me, and we're going to get to that very shortly, recognize the lessons learned in your tragedy. I truly not only believe, but I know for a fact that beauty is me. Because my face was so destroyed, my body was just mangled. I was this skinny, thin little patient walking around. People used to look at me in stores and I was that bad. And I had to build myself up. I would break down and cry. I would break down and cry right there in the store. I would, because of how, you know, I was just so determined. I had to do it. I had to go through it. And there would be times after a while I was getting a little better. Now I'm on a cane. So now I'm on a cane, walking on a cane. So it was from my wheelchair to I had a walker and then a cane. Okay? This was May 06, August 07, I went back to school the next year. So I was off of work for a full year, and I went back the following year. So here I am in a store making copies for these books that I promised I would publish for my students. And this lady, just nice lady, she was doing like Miss Carol too. Sister or aunt, y'all had the same sweet spirits. She just came over to me and she said, sweetheart, I know you've been hurt. I can tell, but you are so beautiful. I wrote about her in my book. Wow. She built me back up. Wow. She said, you're beautiful inward and out. And I said, see, God, all the tragedy and the hardship I've been through, you will see my spirit. You know, and it drew her. And then as I progress more, got that soul a little healed, and you know, taking care of my beauty started shining. Going through therapy, doing these steps I'm sharing with you now, releasing the frustrations at night. Step number 2, developing your conqueror's mentality. You have to release that garbage. You have to. It cannot stay there and intoxicate you. Whether it's through writing, my biggest release was through writing, and I'm actually sharing the 7 steps out loud. The activity is going to be that you all can read it and just talk and socialize, but I'm just going to modify it a little bit and just tell you on your own, please. Before you even write on this, please promise me you'll make 5 copies and give it to 5. This is just how much I'm going to bless those individuals. This will help some people, even if in your practice hops and it's there for people to take, I think it'll bless, the people that way. But two, I would at night take a pillow and cry into it. My whole family would be out of the outside, not even knowing that I'm in there bawling and breaking down and crying. But I had to release it. I believe that they had gone through so much, I didn't want to keep burdening them with my problems. So I would just bawl, I would cry. And then someone bought me a journal, and then I would start to write. Write it out in my journal or whatnot. And then I would go to a psychologist at that time when I was at rehab. So I would talk to them, they didn't know what they was talking about. So by the time I left, they didn't. What are you talking about? What? Let me go home and pray about it, okay? I don't know who certified you, but you can't help this sister, right? Did I just tell you somebody died? What are you talking about? So I just went to my father at my altar, still have my altar. I just talked to him and I bawled out to him. But like I said, ladies, this mourn was unlike anything I had experienced before, but I knew it was a depth of hurt in my soul and it would come out. That's the best thing about it. So I would release my frustrations and talk to somebody. Sought counsel. Seek counsel. Somebody there can help you. God bless the people who was there for me. They couldn't, for me. But they tried. But I went to this one lady, she helped me. The way she helped me is, I went into her practice, she was a psychologist, and I laid on her chair, put my hands on her, I was just ready to talk to her. And she said, some people do not survive this forever. She said, I know God is with you. And I just, again, God is with you. Spirit untouched. You look at me and can tell, it's a higher source running through me. So I get up and back up, and I'm just like, okay, you wasn't no help, no. But she said, I need you to go home, though, because you're dealing with grief and guilt. And I need you to write a letter to God and tell him that you forgive yourself. And also tell the child that you forgive yourself that passed. So I did that, and it was a big blow. Lifted off. So she helped and counseled me, but she had godly counsel. She told me, God is taking you through this. But this is what I hear him saying you need to do. So the counsel you seek should be one of godly counsel. Somebody who you can, number one, confide in, and that somebody who's been somewhere or there that you've been, and you know that you hear from God. Because this woman shared her in God, I know she did. And I packed my little stuff up, went home that day and did it, and I felt that. So seek counsel. Step number 4, search the scriptures. What does God want to say about your situation? I placed in your folder 66 scriptures. I don't want you to take those out. Yes, I did. Just for you. I went through and I got 10 areas that are most impacted by tragedy. And the first is healing and deliverance. That's what we're talking about. After tragedy, you need healing and you need deliverance. So what I did is I got these together and I printed them out for you. And the first one I created into an affirmation. So the affirmation for healing and deliverance, the scripture says, with his stripes we are healed. So my affirmation, daily I would recite, I am healed by the stripes of Christ Jesus. That's what I would say to myself. And I would write it on my mirror. I would just post them somewhere so that I could see it. This is what I had to do daily. When I would tell my sisters, it's not going to be like this always, I was encouraging myself. It's not going to be like this always. When I got into rehab, my first day there, it was this guy running down the hallways in a helmet, hitting his head all across the place. There was a person next door to me screaming, "Woo!" Excuse me? That's not even a human sound. What's this? So they had me on the hospital stretcher, and I sat up, and I did this to my body. I said, you will be here no more than 1 month. That's what I told my body. Guess what? I was there for 1 month to the Wow. 1 month. Because I declared, I spoke it. I said, you're going to get it together. I'm not going to be in here with these people howling, hitting their head all across the place. You get it together, body. I know leg you're broken right now, but you get it together. My spirit speaking to them. I know heart you're hurting right now, but you're going to get it together. You're going to be all right. We're going to get through this because I have a higher calling, and it's not going to be fulfilled up in here. So sometimes we need justice and righteousness. So I just declare some things, and then you go through it and you'll see these are things that deals with the hurt. These are things that people are treating you right, well, you need restoration, number 5. You may feel like your strength and your joy is gone. You may need some relationships restored and healed. So I went through it again. I got 10 things. And of course, number 8, victory and triumph. I shout and I declare that now every day in my room. Victory and triumph. I know my neighbors think I'm crazy. Victory and triumph. Victory and triumph. But they don't know what I've been through. Sit down somewhere. Victory and triumph up in here. You come in here, you're going to get a little bit too, okay? Wealth and prosperity, yes. And then the last one I love, we need wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So these are some things that in your time, these are some things that you can use that will help you develop faith-filled confession. So number 4 and 5, these are things that will help you. 5, search the scripture. What does God say about your situation? And then 5, say what God says. Develop faith-filled confession. So hopefully, I hope this helps somebody, as you do this. And then 6, when it's time for that introspection of that lesson, it may not be in the midst of that incident. It's rarely in the midst. But give it some time. It's going to be a lesson that you're going to be able to say that I learned because of this. And that is what I call lesson learned. So what did your tragedy teach you to do, not to do? It teaches us, it molds us, it makes us a better person. I recognize so many lessons in this. I shared one, beauty is within, it truly is. Beauty is, within and then throughout, later. And then I realized that God speaks. I could name about 30. God speaks. No one can tell me God doesn't speak. I could be in a room of atheists, and I will stand alone and tell them that God, my Father, your Father,